I'm the host of today exchange with you, and we're going to talk about inclusion, diversity, and for that occasion I invited some people with interesting profiles that symbolize this issue and this question in Flanders. Not only Flanders but Belgium as an essence. Last year it was a different setting where we directly started with an exchange where I was explaining more about activism and civil society, the project I was working on, and how did I see those questions. Today I will not hold the role, but I will just give the words to people who have a lot to say about that, and I hope it will be interesting for you. But it's an exchange, so they're gonna talk about here, and you're gonna ask some questions. So I think in that dynamic is gonna be interesting. I will maybe just because we're talking about inclusion and diversity at different levels in different ways. I think that all of them have a different interpretation depending from the field they are active in, and as individuals too, they've been confronted all their life. I will give the word to Yasmin because afterwards she has to leave. Sorry, Benedict, you will.
Ladies first.
Thank you, Omar. Hello everybody, I'm Yasmin Kerbach. I'm half Algerian, half Belgian. I lived in Algeria, a North African country, until my 7th year, and I arrived here in Belgium not knowing the language, not knowing the culture. I always say that what you lived through the first 7 years of a kid, I was there without my parents because they were still in Algeria. What you live at that moment, it stays in your heart and in your head all your life, because then you realize that 90%. I was there in the countryside. I was the only foreigner in that little town, and I realized that what for almost 100% of the people in that little town was normal, was for me abnormal. But for me, diversity is 100% normal. I'm 42 now. Diversity will be an evidence. Everybody would consider it as 100% normal, no problem at all. Mixed marriages, diversity considered as an advantage, multilingualism, all this stuff. I know in 2015, diversity in this town, in this country, and globally is still considered as a problem. And before I was in politics, I was a lawyer, and I was an activist lawyer. And that's maybe the reason why I ended in politics. And I'm a member of the SPR, the Socialist Party, and before I was in Parliament, I was the Chief of Staff of the Prime Minister. And that's a powerful function. And at that moment, that was for me the moment where I could take decisions, where I really gave a push to legislation and give a push also internally into my own party to consider diversity in another way. To give you an example, in my party, and also now still in this town, there is diversity is considered as something that you, if you are in public function, you have to, in a way, hide your diversity. You must act neutral, that's normal, you must consider everybody equal. But in a way, the fact that you look differently, that you wear a kippah or you wear a headscarf, that's a problem. And I always considered that as a dead-end opinion, because I always said, yeah, you can't neutralize yourself. Your looks, you can't neutralize the fact where you come from, that you're a man or a woman, and it's an opinion that dates from the other century. But it was very difficult in my own party, and very difficult also here in this town to make that shift. And it was possible because at that moment I was chief of staff of the Prime Minister, and then you have the power to make that change. So therefore, it is important to have diversity in different positions, in companies, in politics, everywhere where decisions are made. That's one element which is crucial. And after my period as a chief of staff, I'm now in Parliament, and I'm doing now most of my work deals with social policy, but all the difficult, between brackets, all the difficult themes which are the position of the Muslim women, radicalization, discrimination. It always like, oh Yasmin, could you please deal this case, because it's really difficult and it's really polarizing, and in fact it's not really politically rewarding, and it's true. Dealing with diversity in a city as Antwerp, in a country, in a region as Flanders, is politically not rewarding. To give an example, I was, I think 2 weeks ago, I think Omar was there too. I was invited by the American Embassy to, in the context of Black History Month, and there was a debate about empowering youth. I was there, President Oak, because as a former chief of staff, but also because of my migrant background. A week later, an article in the Lviv Express explaining that Yasmin Kerbach, the former chief of staff of Prime Minister Elio Di Rupo, was in the embassy of the US to an activity to honor Malcolm X. I was reading that. Whoa, that's hardcore. But in a way, it goes then through social media. It goes to and I didn't read the article, but then the American Embassy is calling. It's like, oh, so maybe excuse me because you are now. In a way, it's always. They make it in a way a caricature. But it's always used also to tackle politically. So in a way, it's politically not rewarding, but it's very, very important. So therefore, I'm here. Therefore, I'm here, and therefore, I'm trying also to motivate youngsters to go in politics, and also to keep going on, because even if it's considered as difficult, if you get a lot of critics because of your the position that you are defending on diversity, it's very important. And I just want to finish with 3 points, and I think they are crucial to make a step forward, because we're all in Belgium. I hear this now for 20 years that dealing with diversity is really a problem. And I'm really trying to find a way to get a step forward. And first one is Belgium is globally champion in legislation to tackle discrimination. We have the best legislation in the world, really the best. But we are worldwide one of the countries which has in practice the worst respect of that legislation. It's really pure theory. Which is the step you gave the example of the discrimination of the women, the cleaving women. The big problem is that women and also the persons who want to hire a house, they cannot prove discrimination, and the only way you can prove that is with testing. So therefore, The next step that we have to do, and it's very difficult to get there a sort of majority in Parliament, is to take a law, and that's we're going to write that, and I'm going to deposit it in the Flemish Parliament, to really impose testing in different sectors of society. That's the first one, which is important. A big problem in Belgium is that in education and also in employment, there is a very big problem of exclusion of minorities. We'll have to take positive actions to do that. Positive actions, again, very, in politics it's considered, if you use the word, and you have, it's semantics, positive actions, quota, whatever. But you have to take a step forward. We did that for the women, we have to do it also for minorities. To have more than 2% of diversity in the police, to have more than 4%. We have 4% of persons of minorities in public service. It's dramatic. So we'll have to take positive action to at least temporarily get a step forward. And thirdly, and that's maybe the most difficult, is in Antwerp, one of the most diverse cities in Belgium, 170 nationalities, we are living apart together. And that's a problem. And the problem is getting worse. So it's, we'll have to create a sort of common citizenship. And that means that at least there must be like a sort of common ground. And the common ground is our constitution. And if that is not an evidence, then every minority at least must in first time also show its identity, but also be proud of its constitution and its the rights that are put in that constitution. And that's now there is now a sort of a common distrust instead of a common ground, and we'll have to work on that, and that's a long work, but it's without that I think all the rest is also theory. Thank you.